Yes, hello. I'm Lewis and today it's WNR337. We are looking at Impact Wrestling's Sacrifice 2021. And I have the pleasure to be joined by the Ultimate One. How you doing, fella?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? How's everything over there?
It's all good. How's things in New York City?
Yeah, everything in New York City is like everything's kind of returning things back. It's not 100%, maybe 33%, but it's a little cool over here. But we're just waiting for everything to open up over here and everything gets back to the craziness that it was before the COVID.
Yeah, without a doubt, and that's what we're hoping for as well. And of course, for the news now that there'll be fans at WrestleMania, feels like things are finally going to get back to normal as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because not to come out of the subject that we're gonna talk about, but I heard that the tickets were supposed to go on sale this week, but because of Dana White announcing that he's gonna have one of his UFC events in Jacksonville inside, and I think the arena holds about 15,000 people, so he's thinking about having fully full with all kinds of fans in there. And so now Vince McMahon decided, well, if Dana could do it, I'm going to do 45,000. I'm like, are you guys crazy? Like, are you really risking your life to go watch a wrestling match? I don't understand it. But you'll hear my podcast this weekend when I talk about it.
Well, without a doubt, and to talk about Usman versus Masvidal as the fight that's been announced for the UFC event, it should be a cracking matchup. And if Dana White, who's always been on the side of shall we say, maybe not the most popular vote when it comes to Twitter, he's definitely doing that, and the same with WWE. But we are going to concentrate on Impact. Before that, though, our last podcast together was, of course, AEW Revolution. We had a Dynamite since then. And just quickly, I mean, what were your thoughts? Because we had some huge kind of news in the main event segment and a couple other little things. How did you think AEW dealt with the main event of Revolution?
Yes, so we're talking about the fallback of a Revolution. I like how they cover up a lot of the stuff that they messed up on, especially on the explosion match. I love how they went and made it look as Eddie Kingston passed out because of anxiety, and that's why he passed out. When in reality we know that they've messed up on that part because it was a dud. So they covered that part up. I love how Kenny Omega went, and then and Don Callis talked about, I'm the invisible hand, and we take moments from people, and if it would have exploded, we would have taken out Moxley and took out his career, but we didn't. So we stole the moment from you getting a big explosion. So what they did as far as the whole, the fallback. Pretty much, they covered themselves up. I mean, the show was good. I mean, I want to know what's gonna happen next, especially after what happened with the Inner Circle and now with the new group, which I most likely they're gonna call them the Four Horsemen 2.0, maybe. I mean, it was good. I mean, it lets you want to watch. It's like I said, it's just lets you want to watch to see what happens next.
Well, the spoilers are out for the next episode of Dynamite, and apparently they're going to be called The Pinnacle. I really, really dug what they did in the main event, especially the way MJF handled it and the way the insert now and that feud, hopefully in a blood and guts match as well, which they kind of done last year. Speaking of Omega, though, I mean, I just felt they were kind of laughing at the fans who bought the pay-per-view, expecting to get what you pay for, and then saying, did you really expect to get what you pay for? Oh, let's have a laugh at the fans' expense. And I think maybe some fans would leave a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth. And also the Christian came out with Omega as well. Has he lost his voice? Because
Omega?
2 appearances. No, Christian.
Omega? Oh, Christian?
Christian's not said anything the past couple of times we've seen him now. Is it the kind of gimmick they're going for?
Because the whole segment of that part, Christian was supposed to be interviewed, but Tony Schiavone, and then Omega went and kind of, took over and all that. To get back what you said about, disappointing fans with the with the non-explosion stuff. Omega was pissed off in the back. According to a lot of, I think Wrestling Inc. Reported it, Wrestle Talk, that Omega was livid because it was supposed to explode. And I think somebody from the back that dealt with the explosive stuff kind of messed up. So, but the thing that made it worse was that Tony Khan made it, we want two guys to explode, whatever. So it kind of like made him look foolish because you promoted an explosion match, which it turned out to be a dud. Christian, he hasn't said a word. I mean, they always say action speaks louder than word, but I don't like this thing with Kenny Omega and Christian as far as already you got an ex-WWE guy who I think he still could wrestle, but he's still a mid Carter. Now you may be giving him a shot at the belt from here, probably to Double or Nothing. I don't know. That part I'm not too happy with it. I think somebody else should get a title shot. But and most likely, he's gonna be wrestling other people from here to Double or Nothing. But Christian, I mean, let me put it this way, before Christian gets a title shot, he needs to wrestle somebody. And a championship caliber wrestler. Not no Joey Janela or Sonny Kiss type of thing. I want him to wrestle somebody who could give him a run for his money.
Yeah, and also it would be great to see him giving a passion promo about why he's in AEW, what it would mean to him if he won it, because he can definitely hit it out the park with that. But it's not all bad news for AEW, because Revolution is officially the company's most successful pay-per-view with 125,000 buys to it. It beats out the previous holder, which would be Double or Nothing 2020. And moving on to Impact, the Go Home, 9th of March, and there was just one bit of huge news coming out of this. The two world titles, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship and the Impact Wrestling title, will be unified, plus the winner at Sacrifice will go on to Rebellion to face Kenny Omega for the AEW and the Impact World titles. That was a bombshell. That was just huge, wasn't it, really?
I mean, we knew, I had a feeling that they were going to unify the belts because they were not going to have either champion, whether it would have been Swan or Moose with that belt, because that belt, Moose brought it out last year's Rebellion. And I think being that what he was doing with it, I think they should have gave him that belt. They should have gave it some type of recognition. They should have given it world title status, reinstated it, not wait 2 weeks before the unification match to reinstate the belt. And I think, Moose put it on the line, even though it wasn't reinstated a couple of months before. But, we will definitely talk about the outcome of that unification match as your podcast and the show goes on.
Without doubt, it's something to look forward to as well. Rebellion, of course, happening next month. But let's just go back to Sacrifice and just run through the card quickly. Like we said, Rich Swann versus Moose for both world titles. You've got the Knockout Championship, Gianna Perazzo versus ODB. The Tag Team titles on the line, the Good Brothers versus Finn Juice. The Impact X Division Championship, TJP versus Ace Austin. The Knockouts Tag Team, Fire and Flavor versus Grace and Jazz. The Hold Harmless match, Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers. James Storm and Chris Sabin versus Violent by Design. Tenille Dashwood and Caleb with a K versus Havoc and Navaya. And Decay versus Reno Scum. So what's your excitement level for this event, and what's the match that you're most looking forward to watch?
The match I was definitely looking for was the unification match and the Good Brothers versus Finn Juice, being that because, I'm a New Japan mark, and I've definitely liked watching these guys go at it. And the match pretty much, to my standard, it lived up to the hype.
Well, let's get on with it then. So we've got the opening promo with the build up, especially for the main event. Like you said, this match has been built now for the past few months with Moose and Swan. We're finally going to get to it. We see D'Lo Brown, of course, Matt Striker on commentary as well. And then we see Sacrifice kicked off with tag team action, pitting Decay's Black Taurus and Crazy Steve, accompanied by Rosemary against Reno Scums, Adam Forstow and Luster, the legend. Decay dominated the early moments of the match until Luster and Forstow down Taurus, with that delivering a picture-perfect double stomp and senton. The standard moonsault continued the veteran Hills momentum, but then Taurus finally created separation, made a tag to Steve, who exploded into the match and teed off on Forstow, dropping with a flatline, who fought the fireman's carrying tag Taurus back into the match. The action then broke down, climaxing with Rosemary spitting green mist in Luster's eyes, and Taurus pinning Forstow, following the fisherman driver for the hard-fought victory. What were your thoughts on this?
Uh, my first thing that came into my mind when this match started, I said, why is Decay opening up another pay-per-view for the third straight pay-per-view? Um, the match itself was pretty good. I think they did. I know Reno Scum. To me, I think they could be a better tag team. They look a little bit confused in that ring when they were doing the tags, but it was a decent match. I mean, I got to see Tarus again. For a big guy, he can move in that ring. Of course, Crazy Steve. I mean, I'm always impressed with him compared to when I first saw him a couple of years ago when he used to team with Abyss. I mean, it was a pretty decent match, but my question is why every pay per view Decay opens up the pay per view. I mean these guys should be in the middle of the mid card, of the pay per view.
Well, Decay, like you said, are Impact's go-to open up a show, and I just think it shows the kind of the value that Impact have and needs to kind of start the show proper with quite a fun match to kind of get into the action. And we've seen them do it, like I said, the past few events. And if that's their spot on the card at the moment, then I think they're doing quite well. Like I said, it was a really fun way to start. There's nothing quite like Decay kind of anywhere. It's a good match and good to see the green mist. What are you going to give it out of 5?
I'll get that at 3.5. I mean, the match was decent. I think this match compared to the other two times that I saw Decay opening up a pay per view, this was more decent. I guess because Crazy Steve and Black Taurus has probably already been working together for a while. Like I said, Reno Scum. This is like my second time watching them. They looked a little off, but I'll give it a 3.5. I mean, Rosemary with her miss. That was I didn't even know she threw misses anymore. So that's caught me up by surprise. So 3.5.
Yeah. Look, I would have to agree with you. 3.5 there is a really good way to start the show. Prediction-wise, well, I'm challenging myself from the last card, which was No Surrender. I got 6 out of 9 there. So let's see how the WNR do today. And we went for Decay, so we're 1-0 up with that one. Poll-wise, Decay got a massive 89% of the poll there. And then we see Dina Brown, Matt Striker run down the 8 matches still to come. And then we see trying to re-establish their dominance in tag team action after doubts the leader breakup. Navarre and Havoc battled Tenille Dashwood and a social media manager Caleb in a mixed tag team match. Navarre and Havoc overpowered the opposition early, but Dashwood and Caleb worked over Navarre to wrestle control of the bout in their favour. The Hills cut off the ring from Navarre, grounding her in front of them, tagging in the fresher Havoc. Havoc tagged into the match and unleashed hell, running over Caleb, working over Navarre to down Dashwood, with Havoc mentally and inadvertently distracting the official. Caleb reversed the Navarre roll-up, allowing Dashwood to steal the win. What were your thoughts on this?
This match, to be honest with you, bro, is like I was very confused because I was like, so let me get this straight. Caleb with a K is teaming up with Neil Dashwood against Havoc and Novia. So I know they're following up with the storyline from the last couple of times when Novia keeps getting pinned, whatever. My thing is, why didn't he put Tenille Dashwood with another female, instead of Caleb? I'm not crazy about that Caleb guy. I feel like I don't know. I think that whole gimmick they have, it just, I'm watching like Tenille has, I think, Novia and like like kind of a holding up her chin and he's taking pictures. And I'm like, why? Why are you even doing that? And I'm like, I wasn't too crazy about this match because it's like, why don't you just get over with and have Nevaeh turn on Havoc and or Havoc turn on Nevaeh and have Tenille Dashwood team up with them. So I wasn't too crazy about this match.
The thing is as well about Dashwood is that we know how kind of talented she is, so maybe a more not serious gimmick as such, but to look like she's taking it seriously, to actually have a run over the women's title, whether it be an Impact or elsewhere. I think she's definitely got it in her. Maybe it's just kind of frustration, kind of watching this type of match. Like I said, Caleb with a K now. I mean, don't get me wrong, intergender matches and all this kind of stuff, but you wouldn't really want to see him singles division.
Check
now,
your
would you?
mic. Check your mic. Your mic is sounding robotic.
You really want to see Caleb with a K in a singles match, but I think the thing with
I don't want
Dashwood,
to. Honestly, I don't even want to see this guy in the ring. To be honest, because I think he's more. He should be like a manager type. Because I get I get their gimmick. I get the gimmick where she's to the social media stuff, whatever. But you in the ring, and I know that the Impact loves doing this intergender matches. This is like the third time I've seen it. And I'm like, okay, and no, nothing to take away from Tennille Dashwood because she could wrestle, whatever, but it's not a good look for her. It's just like, to me, it's like Impact could do much better with her that's dealing with that gimmick. And then the storyline, again, Nevaeh is a good wrestler. I think Havoc and Nevaeh are a very good tag team. So I don't know what they're trying to do. They're going to try to break them up. I mean, and you can't afford to be breaking up no female tag team, especially in Impact, where they don't have a big stack of tag teams for females.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what happened. Caleb did take his bumps. Looks like Tennille was picking up the wins, and of course Havoc and Nevaeh will implode, and the story does continue. So out of 5, I'm going to give that a 3.25 out of 5 because I actually maybe enjoyed it more than I thought because I usually quite dislike intergender wrestling, so to speak. What are you going to give it?
I'll give it a 2, bro. I was like, take this dude, take him out of the ring. Like I said, you mean to tell me you don't have female wrestlers in the back? You got to get this guy in the ring. And he did take some bumps, whatever, but I don't know if he messed up one point in the match because he went back to tag Tennille, and Tennille was like, go ahead, keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, okay, is there something going on there? Even though they got the win, and they're going to follow up with that story now with, I guess probably Tennille going to end up with Havoc or something. But, I wasn't too crazy about that match. I wasn't at all.
Prediction-wise, I went for Havoc and Nevaeh because I thought they'd sort their shit out, but they didn't. So 1 out of 2 when it comes to their poll-wise, 75% went for Havoc and Nevaeh as well, quite surprisingly. And we see Eddie Edwards is rooting for Rich Swann to become the first champion to unify both the Impact World and TNA World Heavyweight Championships. We'll then see a hype package ahead of Violent by Design versus James Storm and Chris Sabin. And of course, James Storm and Chris Sabin may have been cornerstones of Impact Wrestling long history, but they found themselves in defensive when they battled Violent by Design's Joe Doring and Dina in tag team action. Jake Summit, a familiar foe to VBD, accompanied Storm and Sabin while Eric Young watched his protege from ringside. We talked about Violent by Design. Are you still a fan of their stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not. Yeah, and listen, is it me or Joe Doring looks like Andre the Giant in front of everybody? And I mean, the guy is huge. I think that Violent by Design is a good a little small faction that I could get behind on because that Joe Doring. That guy he's vicious, and he made James Storm look small. And James Storm, when I seen him in TNA, I always saw him as a tall guy, but he towered over everyone. And Violent by Design, especially with Eric Young, I like what they're doing. I really like what they're doing. That match between them with Storm and Sabin against Doring and Diener, that was a pretty good match. It was pretty good match. I just like. The ending part was not surprising because I saw it coming like a mile away.
Well, but we see a big double clothesline by Doring, ending the early offense by Storm and Sabin and put Cowboy on the defensive. The Hills beat down the beer drinking badass to the hot tag to Sabin, turn things around for the baby faces. Sabin delivered a Fisherman Buster to Dina, and Storm added a top rope elbow drop. Moments later, the Hills answered with Doring bowling over the Motor City Machine Gun for Dina added a headbutt. Sabin kicked out the dismay of his opponent and Young, and then a referee bump occurred, and both Young and something got involved. Still in the closing moments of the match, Sabin was in a position to earn a win when Rhino hit the ring and wiped out his fellow Michigander with a gore. First off, gore. What are your thoughts on this?
And I was telling this to my roommate. I'm like, when I saw him come out, I said, he's turning heel. It's like you could have predicted it, right? But here's the part that it kind of, well, most likely I've watched it tonight. The part is why? Why did you turn on Saban and Storm and whatnot. Now that group becomes more vicious because now, I mean, yes, Rhino may be a little bit over the hill. He's been in the business for over 20 years, probably as long as Tommy Dreamer. But you got a Rhino in that group now. So you got Doring, Rhino, Diener, Atkinson, but then you Eric Young. That's some vicious guys in there. I mean, and the match itself was pretty good. The part where Rhino was coming in is like I predicted it. It's like he came in, I was like, he's gonna turn on somebody, and he's gonna turn on Saban, and that's exactly what he did. But now it makes Violent by Design more vicious. I like what they're doing in that part because you gotta have Rhino doing something. You know, the guy's on the contract. You don't want to keep him teaming up with Eric, with Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam as the ECW originals. You know, you got to put him somewhere. So I think that's a good move. And we'll see what happens from here.
Well, yeah, like I said, the widest pro wrestler returning to Impact, and Dina picked up the victory after that. I mean, like I said, Rhino is as wide as Doring is tall. It is unbelievable. Like I said, not a bad match. Standard. Rhino joining the Hills, of course. And, of course, Heath Slater on Twitter the next day said, I woke up to the news that you joined. So he's not watching Impact Plus either. So that's good to know.
Oh wow! But don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if this week we'll have an 8-man tag where Tommy Dreamer's on the opposite side, because you know that's gonna happen. You know that's bound to happen. You know, because that's the way Impact works.
What is your score out of 5 for that match?
I'll give it probably 3 3/4. I mean, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it could have been a little bit longer. I think that Joe Doring wasn't. The one thing about Joe Doring is that he wasn't in that ring as much as Dina. Dina's like he took a lot of the load and whatnot. They were doing some nice tags backing in, but Doring is a monster. That dude's like probably Lance Archer's height. That dude is huge, and I'm like, he came in the ring, and I'm like, he's towering over Saban and Storm. He's towering over everybody. That guy is. I'm like, I definitely want to do a background check on Doring. Maybe watch some of his old matches from Old Japan, but I hear a lot of good stuff about this guy.
Right, and he does look intimidating the way they're doing it at this moment in time. Prediction-wise, Violent by Design for me, so it is 2 out of 3. Not bad according to Meatloaf. Poll-wise, Beer Gun's got 86%. And then Gia Miller catches Brian Myers for his hold harmless match with Eddie Edwards. Myers is sick and tired of seeing Edwards pick up victories over him. He's ready for the grudge match. And after 3 tags, it is the first single. And the rivalry between the most professional wrestler and Eddie Edwards culminated in this hold harmless match, meaning no one involved was at fault for any injury occurred during it. Myers weathered the Edwards storm and wearing him down, working him over with a ground-based attack, sometimes adding a trash can lid to the beating. Myers introduced a street sign and steel chairs to the festivities. Looking to punish Edwards, the former world champion used the weapon against him, delivering a superplex that drove Myers into a pile of chairs. That looked vicious. And
that I saw that. I was like, yo, how is he going to take that bump? Because it wasn't one chair. It was several chairs. And I'm like, I had to rewind it because I'm like, let me see. Did he caught everything, all the chairs, or whatever, and both of them caught it real bad. I mean, it was like I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Well, Edwards retrieved a table from under the ring and set it up in the arena floor. Before he could use it, he dove through the ropes and interfered Hernandez, only to find himself in a massive grip of Big Mex. Matt Cardona made the save and pounded away at the big man. Focused on an opponent. We knew Matt Cardona would get involved anyway, and then Myers sucking in his opponent, driving him into the edge of the apron from under the ring. That was really clever because I'm not sure if I had seen that before, you know.
Not me either. Not at all. But you know, I want you to finish this up because I want to talk about what Eddie Edwards is now the new Tommy Dreamer. But go ahead.
Well, he delivered a flatline on the entrance ramp top low and delivered a backpack stunner off the apron and through the table. That was crazy.
That was nasty. You see the way that the back of the table slapped Myers in the back of the head. I mean, I was like, wow. I'm like, these guys are taking crazy bumps. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get a concussion.
Well, this is the thing, and again, I don't think they should have got up for this, but somehow they did, and then Myers attempted to use a load up of his elbow pad for the assisted roster cut, but Edwards blasted him with a trash can lid, followed with the underhook powerbomb, then a loaded Boston knee party for the win. What were your thoughts?
The match was good. I have no problem with. I mean, I didn't understand the rules, but as I saw it, I saw there was another hardcore match. That's all they had to say. Hardcore match. That spot where he kind of like stunned him and he went through the table slapped him in the back of the head. And then there was another part when Myers went and took out that object and Eddie Edwards slapped him right in the face with that trash can lid. And I'm like, is Eddie Edwards the new Tommy Dreamer? Because it seems like every time I see Eddie Edwards now, he's in some, hardcore match. This is not the Eddie Edwards that I've been used to watching at Ring of Honor. He was a former TNA champion when he was with the American Wolves. It's like now he's just become a hardcore wrestler. Every time I see him in a pay-per-view, he's in some crazy-ass match and whatnot and like hardcore stuff. Like, am I the only one who sees this?
No, definitely. It's like he's the new hardcore icon in Impact. Now, Dreamer hasn't been around for a couple of weeks,
Yeah, but, it's different. You can't do this with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do it with a Sami Callihan, that I could roll with. You know what I'm saying? Because Sami Callihan is a nut, and he'll go to the next level or hardcore stuff. Same thing with Tommy Dreamer, even though I'm not a big fan of Tommy Dreamer. But you can't do this with everybody. And then, I mean, the match was decent. I'll give it a 3 3/4, but it's just another hardcore match. Hernandez getting involved. I knew that was going to happen because there was no disqualification, no rules. Nick Cardona, I knew he was going to get involved. So it's like Impact is still running the storyline since January. You got one-on-one, and you got tag team, and then it's not Eddie Edwards against Myers, it's Myers against Cardona. This needs to end, But like I said, I give it a 3 3/4.
Well, a couple of things there to pick up. We'll talk about Sami Callihan. He's, of course, feuding with Trey Miguel at the moment. And I thought maybe the match would be a sacrifice, but looks like they're going towards Rebellion. And we talk about the match itself here with Myers. Of course, I think they're going towards the Myers Cardona match, maybe at Rebellion. But he showed that he could bring it and take the bumps. I mean, Eddie did get retribution.
Yeah,
the finish.
He's wrestling much better in Impact than WWE. When he was in WWE, and when he was in WWE, they had him as a loser, a guy who had 2,000 losing streak, something into that. And then you see him here, his moves are crisp, his ring work is great. But I don't have a problem with the match itself because both of them are good workers. It's just the gimmick, Eddie Edwards always in some gimmick match.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, the finish was a nice play on Myers using the same foreign object to win as he has in the past. Kudos to the competitors for remembering and incorporating that one. Note on commentary, D'Lo's getting a lot more comfortable now in his role. Matt's voice kind of go weird again like that.
Matt, you know what's funny? You know how you told me that Matt was annoying? Remember? Yeah. You told me that he's very annoying? Now I'm beginning to understand what you mean because he tried to make himself sound so intelligent or was... I hear him going back and forth with D'Lo, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, these guys are arguing back and forth. D'Lo sometimes sounds a little ridiculous. Matt Striker sounds very, very ridiculous sometimes. And I'm like, they need to bring a more Ronaldo in there and make it better.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely need maybe a little bit of a change. But talk about that, I gave that a 3 out of 5 as well. Because it's a great payoff to the story. Prediction wise, I went Myers, fuck it, 2-4 overall. Poll wise, Edwards got 71% of the vote. This concludes the non-title portion of the card. From now on, it is championship title matches. And the first one is the Knockouts tag team titles. It's Fire and Flavor, Kira Hogan, Tasha Steele defending against Jordan Grace and Jazz. Before I get onto the match, what were your thoughts on both of these teams?
Jazz still have it. I give her that much. And you could tell that Jordan Grace, her days in Impact are coming to an end very soon. because now she went from singles wrestler, former Impact Knockout champion. Now you got her and teaming up with Jazz. Not that Jazz is a slouch, but as far as fire and flavor, they looking better and better every time I see them. Their teamwork, they're getting better. I mean, compared to what I first saw, Kiara Hogan, that's her name. Her and Steels make a good combination, and it's like I see them and they bring that excitement to the tag team division because they're young girls, whatever. I just see as far as Jordan Grace, I don't know. Her contract is up in 2 months, so I won't be surprised if she's gone.
Well, let's get on to the match, and the challengers set the pace early as Grace over both opponents. The champions turned the tide, momentarily grounding Grace and working her over. A tag to the veteran Jazz saw the Hall of Fame worthy competitor tee off in the opposition, only for Hogan to catch her with a shoulder to the midsection. From there, the Hills re-established control by working over the former W Women's Champion. The tag to Grace, though, saw Thick Mama pump tear into Hogan, rocking over a cornerback elbow, still saved the day with a splash from the top rope, then added an ugly double stomp to help Hogan to a near fall. Grace then flattened Hogan and scored a close 2 count off a face buster, and then moments later she set muscle buster, but the fire of the tag champions fought out, and with some help from Stills, delivered a fisherman buster for the pinfall victory. What were your thoughts?
The match was pretty decent. I just like I said, the fire and flavor, they look like they know what they're doing in that ring, because even though Big Mama Pump, like you call her, she was throwing her weight around, whatever. These girls knew what they were doing in there. They were trying to pretty much neutralize Jazz, even though Jazz could have had one of the girls submit when she put on the STF. But these girls know what they were doing. As far as we could take one of them out, we used tag team, double teaming stuff, and we could get the win. And pretty much that's exactly what they did. I mean, they looking good as far as every time I seen them wrestle. They're big talkers for that. I mean, and you need that type of character when you're the champion. You want to brag. But young girls, they pretty much they took out Jordan Grace out of all people they pinned. So they pinned the former Knockout Women's Champion. So yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, I have no problem with the match. And as much as I keep seeing fire and flavor, like I said, hopefully they keep improving. Now it's just Impact bringing in new tag teams or do something. So, because right now these girls, in order for them to be great and good, you have to bring in good tag teams.
Well, speaking of great, I mean, Jazz still looks great as well. And like I said, I like fire and flavor. I wonder who's next in line. And when you've got that question, it means you kind of got good champions. You wonder who's actually going to beat these at this moment. But it was an enjoyable match. I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. What are you going to score it?
Yeah, about that. I'll give it a 3.5. It wasn't a boring match. It wasn't, you got what you. If you expected more, then something's wrong with you. But that match, you got Jazz, who's probably in her 50s, whatever, and the woman still could wrestle. She still could go into that ring. You got Jordan Grace, the former Knockouts champion. Again, maybe a lot of people may not have been happy if you're a big fan of hers, but those are signs right there that she hasn't signed a contract with Impact, and she may not be there in 2 months.
We'll be interested to see what happens. Prediction 1, flavor, so it's 3-5. Poll-wise, 55% went fire and flavor. And then Gia Miller tries to get a quick word from TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose for his big matchup tonight. He said he's done talking. Watch what he does. That was fucking brilliant. And then up next, TJP and Ace Austin square off in an X Division Championship matchup. Why not just give him the number 1 contendership after winning the Super X Cup? We have discussed this before. He was number 1 contender. Why not just do it at that event?
I think they were trying to make him go through hurdles. This is the guy who was a former X Division champ. And I think he should, right now, to be honest, I would have rather him been the world champion, because the guy is that good. But again, me and you spoke about this in the last couple of months. He won the X Super Cup, or whatever they call it, Super X Cup. And then they were trying to make him go through hurdles just to be the number 1 contender. You win the Super X Cup, that makes you automatically the number 1 contender. But again, that's how Impact works. I mean, I guess they were trying to hype up, get the fans all riled up, ready for a TJP versus Ace Austin match, because you know it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be high flying. These guys are going to do moves that you're going to be like, wow.
I think without a doubt. So let's get on to the match. Let me see. Great chain wrestling to start. Neither putting a foot wrong. Ace controlled the pace after a picture perfect dive, but TJP fought back, put the challenger on the defensive. He rocked Austin with a big corner boot. Fold. The champion dropped to the mat, collapsing. Referee checked on TJP, backing up the challenger. When he gave the all clear, Austin hoisted TJP off the mat. He teased to finish it, but the champion countered and applied the knee bar. Austin then fought towards the ropes, and Madman fought an attempt to help him to reach them. Instead, TJP pulled his opponent back to the center of the ring, and Austin finally made it to the ropes. Moments later, TJP tried for a detonation kick, but Austin countered, and he found his way back into the knee bar. TJP released the hold, dropped Austin, and tried for the Mamba splash, but then Ace took advantage of the referee's position, slowing the champ's momentum. He then delivered a double stomp and followed with a fold for the win and the championship. And after a 100-day run as X-Division champion, it's over. Ace Austin is the new X-Division champion. What are your thoughts?
To be honest, like I said, this was surprising to me because, like I said, I thought TJP was going to win that match because, this guy, I mean, if you saw the match, anything Ace Austin will give him, he will counter it. I in the middle of the match, you saw that Ace Austin took control of the match, whatever, but I thought when he caught him on the knee bar the first time, I said he's going to give up because the positioning he had him in the ring. These guys, I could watch these guys match over and over again because that's how good they are, both of them. I'm happy that Ace Austin won the belt. Hopefully, they'll have that option C. I don't know if Impact still does that, the option C thing where the Cruiserweight champion goes after the Impact World Champion. They used to do it back then. I don't know if they do it now. But Ace Austin, I'm happy with the results. I mean, TJP, of course, he's going to go and probably challenge him again. But this was a mastery of wrestling between these two. You can't ask for anything. But I think that match probably was maybe, I say, number 2 in the card that I felt was one of the best matches.
Yeah, this was a great match, and the thing I liked about it was not only the kind of the technical wrestling, everything we saw in the ring, but the story. Ace won this by himself with no help. Even when Fulton trying to push the rope, it didn't work. So, in fact, he had to get to the rope himself. There was no kind of interference. So when he hit the stomp and the fold, it's honestly, he's done it himself. You can't argue with that, which I loved. And we talk about Ace is the future. I mean, matches like rematch with TJP, but with Chris Bay and Alexander, they will be fire. Impact will be great the next couple of months.
Well, this is imagine a 3-way between these 3 guys, or 4-way with TJP, Josh Alexander, Chris Bay. I mean, Chris Bay is the freaking future. That's one thing. I mean, and that's when the same crowd with Ace Austin came up. But just imagine a 4-way match or a 4-way X Division match, the Ultimate X for the. Oh my God, they will tear the roof up. I'm telling you. And if it happens, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
What are you going to give that out of 5?
I give that match. You think I'm gonna be crazy, but I think I'm giving that match a 5. That match was awesome. The fact that he didn't have Madman Fulton to help him, and then he got out of that knee bar not once but twice and still beat TJP. To me, I'll give it a 5. That was a good match.
It was a great match. So I'm going to give that a 4 1/4. Prediction wise, I'll just say
4 1/4. You say 4 3/4. I would have been happy with that.
Well, we'll see what the other 2 matches deliver. But prediction wise, I did go Ace Austin. So I'm 4 for 6 at the moment when it comes to prediction wise. Polls, Ace Austin got 69% of the vote. And that's Johnny Swingers Palace, Alicia Edwards challenges Tenille Dashwood to a match. I don't want. There's a lot of stuff I like on Impact, but I really don't like, and that's Johnny Swinger. Is it a case that I don't get it, or is it just he's not entertaining?
He's not entertaining. This is a former WCW jobber. But that's why he used to come on Saturday Night WCW and was a jobber. So I don't know what they're doing with that. And I mean, I told you this, the Swingers Palace. That to me is just screams WWE-ish. WWE stuff, that you're doing behind the scene. I don't think they should be. Honestly, when Impact does stuff like that, they do backstage segments on a pay-per-view. That to me, it kind of kills it because it's like you're still following WWE format stuff, and that stuff you should leave it for Impact on Tuesday, not on the pay-per-view, because you're trying to have people entertained, And when you see like Johnny Swinger and they do like a two, that's like a bathroom break. Nobody wants to see Johnny Swinger. I don't. So
good. I'm not lying. I thought I was going. What is it? It's kind of real, turn off. But up next, Diana Perazzo may evented sacrifice for the Knockouts Championship. To remain that way, she will have to defeat a former champ and build a block of the division, ODB. And despite an early onslaught by the challenger, Perazzo recovered and targeted her opponent's left arm, obviously setting up for a cross armbar. ODB powered out low, slamming the virtuoso off the top rope. She traded rights and left for the champ before delivering consecutive shoulder blocks. She added a power slam for 2, and the challenger looked for the dirty dozen, but Perazzo blocked. The Venus de Milo submission, forcing a tap out from out of nowhere for the win. What were your thoughts on this match?
Listen, Diana Perazzo is the truth, and she showed old school ODB what she's made of. The match was pretty good. ODB being ODB, Diana Perazzo. Every time I see her, she is that good. The girl works on one body part, and you don't see a lot of female wrestlers that do that. They work on one body part. And they will work on it, and the way she made ODB submit it's like I call it the rings of Saturn, like. And I mean, the girl is vicious, and I'm gonna tell you, this, and I'm gonna tell your fans on your podcast. Listen, the woman right now just said that she wants to be the first female wrestler to cross that forbidden door. Don't be surprised if you see Diana Perazzo on AEW challenging Shida. So this girl is that good. Is that good. ODB is going to give you ODB, ODB again, old school, back from the days. She gave it her all, but Diana Perazzo was working on that arm and that shoulder, and that girl is that good. The match was pretty decent for a championship match.
Well, let's talk about Perazzo because, it's... The thing is, she's as good as any woman anywhere. When I say that, people will know, listen to the podcast, how much I love, NXT and the women's division there, and of course, everywhere else, the AEW. But you could put her up against Io Shirai, or like you said with Shida, and she wouldn't blink because she's got that kind of confidence, that style, which is unlike maybe any woman or a woman at this moment in time that I can think of, because it's you can't get her confused with anything else. The way she carries herself, beautiful submission work. Like this, I mean, it's one of these things that she was constantly in WWE, and she left, and now she has the kind of choice to go anywhere she want to.
Yeah, what's funny is this, because Diana Perazzo, I started following her about 2014 when she was in Ring of Honor. The girl had a future in Ring of Honor, but she chose to go to NXT. But like I said, WWE, what they do is, especially in the NXT brand, they hoard a lot of the young talent or independent wrestlers. So Diana Perazzo, they did not push her to her expectation. The girl is that good. And for them to let her go, okay, and now she goes to Impact, wins the women's title. I don't think no one in Impact could beat her. And like I said on my podcast this weekend, Diana Perazzo, in order for Diana Perazzo to be good, she has to face championship caliber female wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she was at NXT, she could give Io Shirai a match, a great match, because they both that good. But right now, she has a lot of choices. She could go to New Japan or go to Stardom and wrestle any of those females over there. Because she could do that, because now she's wide open. Right now, I don't see anybody beating her in Impact. Any of those females they got there, no one could beat her. I think the only one that would have gave her a run for her money was Taya Valkyrie, but then she disposed of her, I think, in Hard to Kill or one of those pay-per-view, and she dominated Taya Valkyrie, And Taya Valkyrie, I can't say that she doesn't have the greatest wrestling skills, but we're talking about this girl when she's in that ring, is her psychology is, I'm going to work one body part. If I get that one body part, I'm going to work on it, and that's going to be the story of the match. You don't see that a lot of female wrestlers today, or male wrestlers today, for that matter, and she is one of a kind.
And then I think the thing is with the WWE, not working out in NXT, I think it helped her on a chip on the shoulder to prove that she can be as good as anyone anywhere. And it's just a great thing. I'm going to give that 3 3/4 out of 5. What are you going to score that?
I'll give it 3 3/4. About the same thing.
Prediction wise, I went Perazzo, so it's 7-5 poll wise. Perazzo got 60%. And then Scott D'Amore's office, we see Tenille Dashwood and Edwards run into D'Amore's office to get this match granted for Tuesday. So they will happen, however, they will be part of a huge tag team match. More information on their website later on. Wow, we're still doing all that.
I don't know.
Go on.
Came up with the talking shop.
Well, up next, the co-main event. And it's the New Japan Pro Wrestling's Finn Juice, David Finlay and Juice Robinson. They sought to win the Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Championship and their respective opponents as they battled the Good Brothers. And the challenges proved problematic for the champions early. Bouncing Paul Robinson off the top rope with his head crashing into the turnbuckle on the way down. From there, the Machine Gun joined Doc Gallows in beating the second generation of Down. Finlay tagged in Robinson and Juice uncorked a series of jabs. He rocked Anderson and Gallows, turning the tide of the match in his team's favour. At one point, Gallows rocked with a knee and had a spine buster moments later, but could not put away the challenger. Robinson and Finlay deposited Gallows on the floor and then turned Anderson inside out with a Doomsday device to win the Impact Tag Team titles. No one saw this coming. What were your thoughts on this?
That's exactly what I said. I did not see this coming. I saw it as maybe, okay, these guys are going to do something. They're going to get themselves disqualified. Somebody's going to come in. I mean, the match itself was a New Japan Pro Wrestling match. I mean, if a lot of your fans don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, that was a New Japan Pro Wrestling match. I mean, if the tags were crisp, the Good Brothers in the beginning took advantage of Juice Robinson. Then Robinson tags in David Finlay. He starts putting his offense. Then they kind of like neutralize David Finlay. But I was expecting the Good Brothers to hold on to those belts. When Anderson got pinned after the Doomsday device, I was like, what? Get out of here. So, I mean, it's a great win for FinJuice because it shows that, they are a serious tag team. I mean, and if you got to look at the history of both of these teams, we're talking about the Good Brothers, former 3 times IWGP champions, right? And then you look at FinJuice, they are former IWGP Tag Team champions and World Tag League winners. I think it was last year, the year before. So the matchup was great because it's like the old school versus the new school, the old school versus the young Lions or the young Bucks or whatever you want to call them. So just to see these guys beat the Good Brothers, that shocked me. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great ending sequence, even if Stryker was trying to ruin it at certain points.
Yes, he was.
It's just shut the fuck up and let us watch it, get us invested in it. Where did the purple stain on Juice's vest come from?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I went back and tried to...
Yeah, I'm like, does he have a shirt on the bottom? Because he had like a pinkish stain, like somebody threw like some pink juice on his ass. I'm like, what the hell is that from? But I wasn't really focusing on that. I was.
Yeah,
I mean, at first when I went back.
I went around it and I was like, right, where'd it come from? And it looks like he's just sweating normally through the vest, and then he kind of goes against the ropes. And I don't know if it's just like maybe the paint off the rope or something like that.
Was the ropes red or not? I don't remember.
Yeah, the ropes are red, but this thing.
And I'm thinking, yeah.
But should the other wrestlers have like red on their arms or tops?
No, but they didn't have that white shirt. That's what it was. So.
Yeah. But mate, talk about the match. Maybe Gallows and Anderson will get more serious. The star attraction of Impact has a new road to take now, and Impact showing us more surprises. I mean, this was great overall, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it shocked me, but then again, I think don't be surprised if the Good Brothers loses also on AEW tomorrow night because they're supposed to wrestle Eddie Kingston and Moxley. I mean, you're not gonna get that type of win if these guys still have the belts. Again, I that really shocked me because I thought that the Good Brothers was gonna find a way to get themselves disqualified, or they're gonna do something. The referee's gonna get knocked out, and we did not see none of that. It was a typical match. They went outside, whatever, but I mean, it's a big win for Finjuice because again, this is the old school versus the young Lions, because that's the way the Gallows and Anderson looked at Finjuice.
Yeah, I think about that. What are you gonna give this out of 5?
I'll give it 4.25.
I'm gonna give it 4.5. Why are you giving it 4.25 for?
I don't know. I think it was probably missing a little bit. I don't know. Maybe there was something missing, probably. Because I think I'll give it a 4.25 because in the beginning the Good Brothers were they took control of Juice Robinson, and then all of a sudden that David Finlay comes in, start doing this, all these offensive, and then they take control again. I'm like, okay, but that's just me. 4.25.
Prediction wise, I went Good Brothers like everybody else. So 5 out of 8 poll wise. Good Brothers got 89%. And up next, one man will walk out with the Impact World and TNA Heavyweight Championships. Who will that man to make history as the first unified champion? Well, you want Moose. I want Swan. There's a big fight, Phil. Why were you so behind Moose going up to this fight?
Well, me and you spoke about this in the last time when we covered No Surrender. Moose, actually, No Surrender and Hard to Kill. Moose shows so much potential. Not potential. The guy has evolved tremendously. And like I said, I'm not a big Rich Swann fan. I still don't think he's championship caliber, whether wins or not. But Moose is like this monster guy who has everything. He showed you in the match what he's made of, and I think he should have been. He's the future of Impact. That's the way I look at it.
I think without doubt, and I think we've seen him being an absolute monster recently. But we're going to get onto the action because Swan looked more focused as he came out for his entrance, and he stunned his larger opponent early, repeatedly driving into the steel post. Moose slow things down and use his power advantage, outmuscling his opponent and driving the air from him as he forced him to the mat. We get a 360 backdrop. Now, backdrops are usually, maybe impressive depending on the height, but Swan going a full 360 rotation is incredibly impressive.
I thought he killed him when he did that. He did like a 450 slam on him, and I was like, but that he took that bump like a trooper. I mean, I've never seen anybody take a bump like that. I mean, not that type of bump, but it shows you the domination of Moose.
Well, but like I said, driven by the desire to hurt his opponent, Moose introduced a steel chair and wedged it in the corner. He tried to drive Swan into it, but the referee stopped him. The TNA champ opted for a full-way slam instead, and on the floor he fell. You can hear Swan screaming when he was getting his hair ripped out against the barricade. It was such a great visual, You
know what's funny though? That now that you mentioned that, it was like Moose was pulling his hair through most of the match. In the beginning of the match, I was like, why is he trying to rip his head off? Like his hair off, and and then it looked like when he caught him by the railing and he started ripping his hair out of his head. I felt so bad for Swan. I'm like, that must hurt so bad.
You can't really fake that, in a way. But
dude, I was like, I wanted him to, you don't know, I wanted him to not pull his hair. I wanted him to body slam, power slam, throw him up the top rope. That's how bad I wanted Moose to win.
Well, Moose continued to punish Swan, completely overwhelming him. He applied an abdominal stretch made famous by Wilbur Schneider, driving his elbow into the exposed ribs of his opponents. Swan bit his opponent's finger, forcing a break. Moose cut him off with a gut buster. The fight headed up top where Swan tried for a Hurricane Runner. Moose mentally fought out, but Swan finally fought him with it anyway. That was again an impressive show of strength. Then the competitors engaged in exchange of strikes before Swan tried for the cutter. Moose caught with a boot to the back. Swan then proceeded to catch Moose coming off the top rope with said cutter for a 2 count. Because at that time I'm going, where's Moose going?
That's the thing. I don't know what he was trying to do. Was he trying to do it for Moonsault? I don't know, but he caught him good with that cutter. That was amazing. I got to give it to Swan on that one. That was amazing.
Yeah, then he added a middle 450 splash, but Moose kicked out that. Again, looked great. And then the fight headed to the top rope. Moose caught Swan, but the Impact champion fired off a series of right hands and knocked him down. Moose recovered, ran the ropes, and delivered a fall-away moonsault slam for 2.
Sick. This is what I'm talking about. This man is a monster. Monster. Why? He didn't have the world title. This guy was doing stuff. I mean, he did a moonsault fadeaway slam from the top rope. Where do you see a 7-foot guy ever do that? It's just incredible. It's incredible.
To have that rotation in literal mid-air is just one of the most incredibly kind of beautiful and dangerous things I've ever seen. But it's like a firework display. You go, ooh.
But that goes to show you. But that goes to show you that a lot of these wrestlers now, athletically, they could be big, but they're doing stuff like that from the ropes. I mean, Lance Archer was, I think, one of the first guys that I saw him doing stuff like that at New Japan when he became a single wrestler. But what Moose did is a fadeaway moonsault. Never seen it ever in my life. That was incredible.
Well, Moose was, like I said, awesome in this matchup, and he set up for the spear, but ran into the turnbuckle, and then again, and then the third time he crashed into the chair, but shook it off. One corner ended with Swan delivering a crucifix pin for the win and the titles. Rich Swann is your very first combined TNA and Impact World Heavyweight Champion. What were your thoughts on this?
I was very disappointed. I was so very disappointed because I kept harassing you, and the last time I was in your podcast that Moose Nation was gonna succeed. He's gonna be the next world champion. The match itself was very, very good. Like I said, there was stuff in there that Moose did was incredible. I got to give it to Rich Swann because even though he got overpowered for some of the matches in Moose, and he started off with a good game plan, like pushing Moose to the ring post outside. But I mean, I think goes to show you that, just because you're big doesn't mean you're always going to win. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, again, he wins the belt, both belts. Now he's a unified world champion. Now he's going to face Kenny Omega at Rebellion. So, I don't see him beating Kenny Omega. And the reason I say that is the fact that now NXT is moving on Tuesday, and they're gonna have competition with Impact, or Impact having competition with NXT. You're gonna need somebody who's a dominating world champion to be in this show on Tuesday, because NXT is gonna be on the same time. So I'm predicting it right now. Omega beats Swan at Rebellion, and Omega's going to be in not one show. It's going to be in both shows, Impact and AEW, on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, that would be very interesting if that happens. And we talk about Swan versus Moose with the one match on this entire card that needed to deliver. It did. I mean, the pair, like I said, a great chemistry, some storytelling. It was storytelling one-on-one executed to perfection. You see, the dominant one getting overconfident, and Swan, how the hell are you still in it at that point as well? He won the match, the titles, and now was a shot at the redemption. He battles a man who disgraced him at Hard to Kill, Kenny Omega. The build-up for that match should be something special. And like you talk about as well, it seems like they're kind of protecting Moose maybe a little bit of going, kind of shock loss to Swan here, but then we're not going to sacrifice you to Omega, and then maybe you could be, after this kind of thing has happened, it's all over, so to speak, and you could be the guy going forward,
I mean, and it'll be a good thing, because let's say, and we're just theoretically speaking here, let's say if Omega beats Swan, right? Again, I've been saying this throughout the whole show. In order for a champion to be great, you have to meet championship caliber talent. Moose, to me, is a championship caliber talent. So I see Swan losing to Omega at Rebellion, and then the next pay-per-view, whatever the next pay-per-view will be after that, or a Slammiversary, you could have Kenny Omega versus Moose for the world title. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe, if I'm correct, in Rebellion, the AEW world title is going to be on the line too, for between him and Swan, according to what I think I heard or read. But I think that's the way they're gonna flow. Again, people can't get mad. Let's say if Omega beats one, because you have to think about it as an Impact fan. You got problems coming, well, in the name of WWE with the NXT brand. They're taking it out on Wednesdays because they can't compete with AEW. They're gonna try to go after the little guys who decided to join AEW. So the best thing for them to do is to have Omega beat Swan. Therefore, you got a person who's going to bring eyes to your product because your AEW fans are going to come and watch Impact. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to have more audience in there. And then for the future, then you'll have Moose versus Omega. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Swan, I got to give him credit because, he was way short. He was giving up a lot of size, a lot of power, and he pulled it off. And, that's something he's going to have. And I think they were playing the story of how Swan grew up in a bad neighborhood, grew up never having anything, and now he become the first unified Impact World Champion.
Speaking about as well the Tuesday night thing, if it was to happen, I think Impact to move to Thursday to kind of sort out that situation, and then head to head against kind of my other favourite show at the moment, NXT UK, would be really, really good. But talking about the main event match here, like I said, fantastic matchup. I'm going to give it a 4 3/4 out of 5. What are you going to score it?
I agree with you. That 4 3/4. I'll give you that because that match, I mean, it lived up to the hype, and that was my biggest fear as far as okay, I don't want it to be like a squash match, a 5-minute match, a 10-minute match. And it was David versus Goliath type of thing. And like I said, I like the game plan that Swan had. He went after Moose and hit him 3 times on the 3 sides of the ring with the post. Yes, Moose overpowered them, but again, the story was David versus Goliath, the guy who Swan being the guy that never had anything given to him in life, with Moose, former football player, had everything. So storyline wise, match wise, was pretty good.
Yeah, I think without doubt, like I said, 4 3/4 for the main event there. Prediction wise, Swan, who I went for in the end. So final scores, I mean, last time out, no defender was 6 out of 9. Sacrifice, 6 out of 9. So what was the poll wise? Swan, 67% of that. We got a poll for the show as well. What did everybody think of the event? Okay, got 14.3%. Good got 28.6%. Awesome was 19%. And great was 38.1%. So I definitely did it there. We know our match of the night. Yours is, of course, Ace versus TJP, which got the hallowed 5 out of 5. Mine, I'm going to give to the main MVP of the night.
Which one is it? Which one? What's the match that you like?
Main event is my match for the night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, to me, the TJP Austin was because it was, that was a match where 2 guys almost identical, and they did their thing. I mean, like I said, number 2 to me is the main event. Number 3 will be the Good Brothers. The Deonna Purrazzo match was pretty good, but I think the other 3 title matches overshadowed it. But overall the pay-per-view was pretty good. I mean, they need to number 1. The only issue I have with the pay-per-view, stop putting Decay in the opening matches. You know what I'm saying? These guys deserve better. Yeah, they deserve better than that. And second,
before you get your overall rating, who's your MVP of the show? What guy or what woman even stood out for you?
Oh, it will have to be Ace Austin, because remember, the Ace Austin usually depends on his guy outside, Matt Fulton, to help him in the match. He did this by himself. He got caught twice in the knee bar, which is a vicious move that DJ Poo puts on his opponent. I got to give it to him.
I'm going to say, well, Purrazzo really, really impressed me, but I think MVP has to be Moose, because he may not have left as champion, but this former football player is now a top-level wrestler. So what is your overall rating out of 10 then?
I will give it an 8, because they had 7 matches. I think the only match that I wasn't crazy about was the Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with the K, whatever. I think, I don't know. I felt like that was not the. If they were going to put that match, they shouldn't have put it intergender. It makes no sense. I think, again, my issue with Impact, they try to do things like WWE, and this is like a WWE bites from them. It's just ridiculous in that part. But other than that, I give it an 8. Uh, um, 8 as a out of 10.
Well, I think there's some great wrestling, title changes, surprises, and a huge main event that paid off. And I think that's what we was talking about. You mentioned earlier, living up to the hype. Last time out we did a podcast, the hype of the main event didn't pay off, and this did exponentially. You know, this is incredible. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 overall, because I really enjoyed Sacrifice. And of course, the other thing I liked about it and the build up to Impact is we kind of talked about Rebellion. Of course, hopefully you join me next month for the Impact pay-per-view. But, you know, yes, you talk about Cardona versus Myers, Good Brothers versus Finn Juice, maybe Swan versus Omega. It's already shaping up to be quite a great show.
Yeah, and this is the thing that kind of frustrates me when it comes to Impact, because they could book a good pay-per-view. I mean, I remember, I said about 2 years ago, when I remember Sami Callihan wrestled Tessa Blanchard's anniversary, you know, the match that I was really looking forward to was that one. But then I saw the whole pay-per-view, and it was great. I mean, you had, I think it was Taja Valkyrie, the girl from Decay, Havoc, and some crazy match and whatnot. But it was good, so they were turning the corner. But you see how they did this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view had 7 matches. Maybe 6 out of the 7 matches were pretty good. And I hope that they continue. And if this Forbidden Door thing that they're doing with AEW and New Japan, this is a sign that they could do a lot of great things if they just step away from this. Want to still be WWE, the pipe crowd, that drives me nuts, James. You don't know that pipe crowd thing. There's nobody there. Why they got that? So they're getting that from WWE. They need to step away from that. Be their own selves. You know, because, you know, and they got to work a little bit more on the women's division, because, again, Deonna Purrazzo is not going to be a great wrestler unless you bring championship caliber opponents. I think she already beat, if I'm correct, Jordan Grace. I mean, who else is there that's going to challenge that girl? Nobody could beat this girl. This girl is, I mean, and I love her because I'm old school. I like when a wrestler works on a body part, because I'm back from the 80s and 90s where they used to work on body parts and make it believable. So, I mean, they have a lot of potential to be big.
Well, this is the thing, and this is what it breeds excitement. This event delivered, and now we look towards the future, and it looks good, you know. So at this moment in time, Impact has done really, really well for itself as well. But that is it for today's show. Before we go, our follow of the week is Shaquem Empire. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Do you want to just plug your stuff quickly?
Yeah, this is the ultimate one, the infamous one from New York City. I got the Chokeslam Wrestling Report on the YouTube channel. You can find me also on the audio podcast, the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, any oh my God, I just went blank. Any big podcast that you guys like to listen to your show. I also have my my merchandise. It's tcwr.veryimpressive.com, tcwr.veryimpressive.com, where you can find my podcast merchandise there. I got the shirts, 3 shirts in there. I got the hat. So, you know, take a look at it. And, you know, and my audio podcasts are usually on Sundays and Thursdays. And then I got the YouTube channel, which I do the wrestling roundup on Fridays on my videos. So check me out, guys.
Well, that was
a long one, right?
Yeah, that's almost longer than my one. Don't forget the WNR, also on Facebook and Instagram, of course, all Google platforms. Send us an email, the WNRpodcast@gmail.com, and YouTube, where we offer the latest clips and podcasts at the same time. On YouTube, let to do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode is NXT UK. We've got 2 huge titles. But the next time that you will be joining us, of course, we've got Rebellion, and we may get together maybe next month for a kind of AEW catch up.
Yeah, we could do that. I know they have. No, this week. I think this week they have something with St. Patrick's Day, some crap like that. I don't remember. But anyway, well, we could do it maybe the beginning of the second week of April, so we could catch up to some of what's going on at AEW, and then definitely I'm definitely joining you in Rebellion. So
without doubt. Sorry, I was about to say I know Rebellion is definitely, I think it's 21st. So if we could do something maybe before that or not, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. We could do. I think what we could do is the AEW. We could do the AEW review, and then that week also of Impact. So at least we get the fans, let them know where everything stands and whatnot. I'm sure they'll probably know, but we'll give us our opinion and feedback on it.
Yeah, I think we're out of doubt. That sounds brilliant. You've heard it here first here on the WNR podcast. And of course, I have been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Ultimate One. Again, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, yeah. Listen, and I come to your podcast. I enjoy it. Again, I love doing this. I'll be back.
Well, until then, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.